Well, praise Lord, saints and friends. This is Elder Heyman with another session in a series of lessons on the book of Genesis. Being that the book of Genesis has 50 chapters, we're going to be at this for quite some time. But I welcome you to come and join in, and you can always skip sessions. You can always leave with this is nothing that no one has to pay or anything. But if you do happen to fall behind and you lose track of things, then you can either look on Facebook, or if you've skipped something over a month before, then you can go on YouTube. And you can use my page. It should say Elder Adrian Heyman, and go there and check it out. I will be, and there's also other things that we're doing on that particular page, but at the same time, if you're looking to do some studies on Genesis, hopefully this will be able to help you. So for this particular time, and again, we only have about 15 or so minutes, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, depending upon how it goes. But we're going through the creative day or the creative week. We've already went through that the Lord brought light to the world. And then understanding that the world was still in some type of chaos because there was no land. Everything was water. And we can see that could possibly be the case is because if we look at our own earth, we can see that even though there's heights such as Mount Everest and Kilimanjaro, and of course, in the United States, you have Mount McKinley, which was Mount Denali, as well as Mount Whitney, California, 14,000 feet high. But the depths of the ocean are much deeper than the heights of the mountains. And so if everything was smoothed out, the whole world would be covered by water, such as it is in the book of Genesis, which is pretty fascinating because essentially Moses and those who were living in his day had no clue how to measure the oceans or to measure the heights of the mountains, because they only really traveled in a very small sliver of land between Egypt and Canaan. But the fact that they bring this out is pretty interesting indeed. Again, something to think about. But let's go on with this particular session. We're going to go to verse number 9. This is now the third day. And God said, let the waters under the heaven, that means the seas. Remember, there's waters under the heaven, which is the sky, not the place where God dwells, but it's the sky. Waters under the heaven and waters above it. And the sky was what divided the two. So, but now he talks about under the waters now. Let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place. Let the dry land appear, and it was so. Understand this, that had to be a pretty hefty move to take portions of the earth's surface, bring them up above the level of the ocean, which is why now we call everything according to, or let's put it this way, compared to sea level. Because sea level essentially is, of course, the level of the ocean at a particular, now some people may get into some semantics. Well, the sea level in the Arctic is not as high as the level over at the equator. Maybe so and maybe not. But that's what we use. So, okay. But the idea here is that the Lord, knowing that he was to create life at some time, notice what he did. He created, first of all, light on the first day, the main driver of life. Second of all, he created the atmosphere. So you'd be able to breathe air if you were a land creature. Now understand this too, he has not created the fish yet, or the sea creatures, as he still had a lot to do. Dredging from the bottom of the oceans and bringing certain portions of land up, that had to take a major undertaking, even in the times of geology, in geologic periods. This was accompanied by huge changes in the Earth's atmosphere by forces that would either buckle particular portions of the Earth's crust to make it be forced upwards. And in other places, you had fault lines that would essentially be thrusted upward while the other side sloped downward. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, those actually are representative, the first, of the coast ranges in California and the faults of the Sierra Nevada. The Sierra Nevada. If you look at it, it slopes pretty much from the west. But as it gets to the high point, it slams down at the east. Now, I'm not saying that essentially I'm believing in billions of years, but you have to understand science in order to have an answer for it. But there's different forces, including volcanic activity. They tell us that on the island of Hawaii, the peak of Mauna Kea, I believe, Mauna Kea is actually the tip of the largest mountain in the world if you measure it from the bottom of the ocean up to its top. It passes Mount Everest. So there are various ways that could be used, and God may have used these various ways to build these mountains up. If you think about it, the Lord is powerful. The Lord can do whatever he wants. And the Lord can use forces within the earth to do these things, buckling the earth's crust, earthquakes that causes land to suddenly be moved upwards and downwards, and essentially volcanic activity that can raise not just one but several mountain peaks. In other words, this essentially deals with God's power. Let the waters under the heaven be gathered unto one place, and let the dry land appear. There could be no land animals without land. And if the Lord had created sea creatures before this, they would have been wiped out by all of the moving of the particular land. It would have been a mistake. But God doesn't make mistakes. He knew what he had to do first. He had to lay out the environment before creating anything. It's the same thing as what he does with us. Before he sends us, he trains us. Even though we may not end up doing what we thought we should do, the Lord has trained you for it. The Lord trained Moses, even though Moses didn't know. Moses was being trained for his time as leader. David was trained by his hardships. And when he got to the position of king, he knew what to do. The Lord trains his people. Sometimes it's on the job training, but he still trains his people. But his majesty is beyond measure. That he took a world that was completely swamped by water. Water everywhere. No land to be seen. And he scooped up the land. Or he scooped up portions of the earth's crust beneath the ocean, built it up above the waters. Verse number 10. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters called he seas. Now we call them now oceans. There are seas, there are bays, and there are gulfs. But this is just different ways of describing sections of the waters that cover still around 75%, 70-75% of the Earth's surface. We have a watery world. It's amazing that we have enough land for our use. But I want you to think about something else too. When he built a rocket ship, the vast majority of the rocket or whatever it's used to house astronauts, it's a small area. Most of the rocket ship is used for fuel purposes to get past the Earth's gravity. You could say that the Lord created Earth, the planet itself, as a giant rocket ship with the waters providing the fuel that would go and cause the weather, like the rain and the storms and the wind and all. But it starts with the waters, and they drive the weather. If you didn't have the oceans, there would probably not be that much rain, and all crops would probably die, which means that we would probably die eventually. So God knew what he was doing. He has the fuel to keep life going, but he had to have a place where the land creatures and eventually man would be placed. And the last thing he said was, and God saw that it was good. This is the first time the narrative begins to say that God said it was good. Not that light wasn't good, not that air wasn't good, but this was a specific activity that dealt with preparation for the life that was to come. And he had to make sure that these things, the gathering of the waters together, the gathering of this land together, that these things had to be of such condition that it could support life and life abundantly. And he saw it. And he did his own audit. And it was good. Interesting section. You may think, it's just the water, but a lot of stuff goes into it. Without the creation of that, there would be no man. There would be no civilization. God knew exactly what he was doing in creating the giant spaceship that we know today as Earth. God bless you. May he keep you. I'll be there with part B of the third day creation. But in the meantime, God bless you and you have yourselves a wonderful, wonderful evening. In Jesus' name.